On this episode of the John1911 Podcast, will Trump bomb Iran? Sig recalls all Cross rifles. The 6.5 Creedmoor is in stock. And Lieutenant Dan still ain't got no legs.
Okay, good evening, everybody. This is Danny and Marky, and this is an emergency rushed holiday Thanksgiving episode 194 of the John1911 Podcast. And Danny is sitting here comparing me to the Duke of New York and Isaac Hayes from Escape from New York. And my new nickname might be Duke. So, but he's looking for chandeliers for the fenders of my car. So.
Well, I actually have the chandeliers. I was just going to bring them with me to our company Christmas party. So, I can't. We're under lockdown. I don't want to be a curfew felon.
Dude, nobody gives a shit about the lockdown here in Ohio. But let me just go ahead and put this for my Christmas gift list. Let me just say something. For Forest Christmas gifts, for me, anything that gets me closer to the Cadillac that has the hydraulics in the back that jacks up and chandeliers hanging from the fenders of the Duke of New York car, that's peachy by me. Dude, that is the perfect gift, because if I could drive around town with that Cadillac and those chandeliers, I would be set. That's the coolest car that's ever existed on the Hollywood Silver Screen. When I was like 12, I was like, oh man, that's awesome. I got to get that.
Could you imagine driving that thing with Freeze and I? In the same car.
You saying it might be leaning to one side? What are you telling me?
No, I don't mean it that way. But you talk about three moronic people driving around with chandeliers.
I'll have you know that my family is from the hills of West Virginia and Virginia. And we would be quite proud of chandeliers hanging on the hood of our cars. We ain't shy. That would be awesome. And speaking of which, hold on, personal note here, because I just want to go ahead and acknowledge it, because you sent me a photograph. Danny, everybody, has been on a crash diet, and he has lost 51 pounds.
54 as of today in 6 weeks.
54 is this morning's bathroom visit.
I never was aware of it, but I have ribs.
I have ribs. So now you're turning into our resident bikini Sports Illustrated swimsuit model. Look, I have ribs, everybody. So
I want to wear a thong and crack walnuts in my ass. There's a thought, mental image.
Oh my God! So, all right. So, let me just say one thing here, real quick. Let me do something. Okay, all right, we're good. So, let's go ahead. Let's talk about a few things, real quick before we, get in all the heavy stuff. Guess we'll cover a couple of the gun issues. I got a text today from Officer Mike, and you probably don't know this, Danny. And people that don't know Mike, Freeze loves Sig and Sig Sauer. Mike doesn't think a whole lot of Sig. He's seen a lot of their products come and go, or like they release a product, and the user base that buys the stuff kind of ends up being the test bed. They literally, people give Sig money. The criticism is people give Sig money to buy a gun, and then for that, paying those hundreds of dollars, they get the privilege of being the test mules to come out with the A1 version. And this has kind of been a running kind of slam on Sig, at least Sig USA, for the last probably 15 years. And just today, it was brought to my attention by Officer Mike that Sig Sauer has announced a recall on the Sig Cross rifle. And actually, we do know a guy on the team that does have one. He just bought one. And I think it's in 6.5. And it's just like, Oh God, not again! Like not another one. Like another reason to take a big old dookie on Sig. It's like so out there. If you have a Sig Cross rifle out there, be aware there is a recall by Sig. Apparently, if I read it right, it's they didn't call it this, but it sounds like they're describing a hang fire, a situation where you pull the trigger and there's a delay before the round goes off, and so that could obviously be only one of two things, but I'm not going to say what it is because I don't know. And Sig, this is apparently a recall for all SIGs, all Sig Crosses. It's not a serial number range. It's not a things sold after July 1st, or it's all of them. So just be aware that you're subject to a recall.
I actually have some gun content. Speaking of rifles,
Yes.
yes, did you know that as far as the ammunition shortage, 30 6, 30 308 is getting extremely hard to get, but there seems to be an abundance of 6.5 Creedmoor.
Really?
I
That's
read that
interesting.
today.
That I would not have guessed that, but I guess it makes. Well, the thing is, like, like here in the John 1911 Armory, we do not have a 6.5 Creedmoor weapon in inventory. Not that we're against it, we just haven't done it. We really, we have 6.5 Swede here, so it's basically the same thing, just a longer action. I mean, I understand, but ballistically, logistically, we have to support these, and so we haven't gotten a 6.5 yet. But the thing is, whenever there's a gun scare, there's a rush on the more common calibers. And one thing, like, I'm in the market now that I'm carrying 1911s again. As crappy as this sounds, I mean, I'm looking for a 40 Smith & Wesson single stack 1911. Because if ammo does get really tight, we've noticed during these scares, the less common calibers seem to be easier to get. And 40's really fallen out of favor. So, sure, why not get a 40? Well, I guess what you're telling me is 6.5 may not be as big as, not as big as all the standard NATO calibers.
It's very ironic you say that because 40 Smith & Wesson was the number one availability ammo that you can still get. And guess what the number two one was?
6.5 Creedmoor?
No, pistol-wise.
Number two, available is 357 Sig or 10 millimeter.
38.
Really? Well, you know what? That's not a bad thing either. I mean, that's an argument. I mean, we buy ammo over here at fairly large quantities, but don't kid yourself. It has hit us, and if this continues, well into 2021, by about the middle of 20, if we don't get any more ammo at our current run rates, we would probably start to seriously run out of major calibers by about July of 2021 at our current run rates. And, that means we would have to pick up stuff. We'd have to switch to guns that maybe are non-standard guns because we can't get the calibers in bulk, and you have to go back to buying stuff off the shelf, which we would be terrible. But,
well, that's what. Well, as you yourself know, when you buy nines, we'll say by the caseloads, that was all well and good. Well, now a lot of these gun stores, I'm not sure about where you're at, but they came right out and said, unless you buy a new weapon purchase from us, we're not going to sell ammo to you.
Yeah, our local FFL did that as well. He had a policy. We actually we had some extra during the initial run back in the spring. We were talking to him, and he's like, dude, everything's selling. He's like, you've got anything you want to get rid of, bring it in. And it's like, okay. So we brought in some Glock pistols that we didn't need a bunch of extra ones, and they flew. We brought in some Glock 19s, a Walther 45, and I can't remember what else it is. But the 45s, we even provided some ammo. And what he would do if you went into his store, like you go to his gun store to buy a gun because you're one of these people that don't have any guns, he's not going to be able to sell a person a gun that doesn't have a gun if that person can't get ammo, right? Because they're buying the gun because they're afraid that literally the next day Antifa is going to burn their house down. And so they want to leave with a gun and ammo. So they started packaging it together, and we saw that in the spring. So.
Yep.
Yeah, that's very
it's getting crazy.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to get any better. I mean, have you heard about Biden supposedly wanting to tax all this stuff?
Yeah, but I don't believe he can do that through executive order, number one. Number two,
No, because all taxes have to originate in the House.
Correct. And even if it was to pass the House, you have some Democrat senators that live in gun country. I don't think it would ever fly.
Well, it has. I don't think it'd get through the Senate. But here's the thing. I mean, I'm just going to be real here. Look, I'm not going to be a ranting and raving lunatic on the internet. But if they were talking $200 per magazine, $200 per rifle or AR, including the stuff you currently own. And it's like, well, I mean, I'm not trying to sound like James Yeager. Dan, you may not even know who that is, but I mean, I ain't paying it. Come and get me. I mean, I'm just being honest. I mean, like, the truth is, let's just hypothetically have that conversation. If they were to impose what I heard, a $200 tax stamp on all existing magazines and all existing rifles, the bill for the armory, it would probably bankrupt most individuals. I know it would. I mean, it would be a lot of money. I mean, it would be tens upon tens of thousands of dollars.
Well, also, heck with a tax stamp and heck with the cost. What it's really doing is creating a national registry.
It is. That's exactly what it is. It's just, I guess we're going to find out if Joe Biden is, I mean, I don't know, is Joe Biden actually all there? And look, I mean, we can make the joke, during the campaign, and it looks like, I mean, there are things happening. Small chance, maybe that, there won't be enough electoral votes to get somebody to 270. And so it doesn't get, it goes to the House, and maybe Trump does get the state president. It doesn't, historically speaking, that would be very unlikely. I'm not staking a position out on that, but, I just, is Joe Biden like senile? Like, some of this stuff, like, you wonder if they're like, there's just some commie, behind him shoving their hand up his ass like a Muppet. Basically, like, we're going to, through the power of the pen and whatever, we're going to try to do a tax stamp on all existing guns and magazines. And it's like, no actual rational politician would dare do that, because it would start tremendous upheaval. And I'm being very oblique here, but it's like, I mean, I'm not this bomb throwing crazy person, but it's like, yeah, I'm not. I mean, I guess whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I guess I'm going to either end up in jail or dead, but I'm not paying that. I'm just not.
Well, I read an article today that all of the law enforcement combined in the United States roughly has 100 million guns. That's for law enforcement. For all the citizens, with everything, there is 400 million guns that they know of.
Yeah,
So I
guns.
don't think that it would work out well, because you and I both know some diehards. The old pry the finger diehards.
Mm-hmm.
And it would get to that, unfortunately.
I mean, I'm not saying anything that's completely unreasonable. when I say this. There are people who never registered their machine guns with the federal government in 1934. The federal government said, register your machine guns. You can keep them, you can have them, register them. And, you know, some people just didn't do it. And then, World War II happened. People brought machine guns home from World War II. Like, they put them in Here's the thing. You talk about duffel cut, like these rifles that are duffel cut. Well, an MP40 machine gun doesn't have to be duffel cut because it's short enough. It fits in the duffel bag without having to cut it. A lot of this stuff came home in World War II. Some stuff was coming home during the Korean War, and stuff was coming home during the Vietnam War. There is no two ways about it. And the proof of that is in 1968, there were enough of these guns. The government suspected they had indications. They issued an amnesty. They said, we are going to have an amnesty. No questions asked. If you have a machine gun, bring it in and register it. You will not be prosecuted. You will not be charged. If it is a stolen item, it will not be taken from you. You get to keep it. Because the logic behind that move, if you support the NFA registry, the whole point of the registry, if you are the government, whether you're for or against guns, it's like, well, we have a registry. They want the registry to be complete. That's how the ATF approaches it. They don't approach it as like a punitive thing. Their mandate, the ATF, is we want the registry as we have it of all the NFA items, NFA meaning machine guns and stuff. We want that list that we have to be 100% accurate. We want every gun that's out there to be on the list. If there's stuff that's on the list that is wrong, or the information about it is incorrect or wrong, we want that corrected. And so that's their motive. And so during the 1968 amnesty, there's documented cases of guys coming in to the federal government, they're felons. Under law, they're not allowed to own a gun. But they showed up with a machine gun. One case was an M16, and they were like, okay, paperwork, gave it back to the guy. The guy is a felon who's not allowed to have a gun. He couldn't pass a background check today to buy a handgun, but he legally owns a machine gun in his house. He can do whatever he wants with it within the bounds of the law because it was an amnesty.
That's crazy. And that reminds me like of bump stocks, how many people actually registered them when they called for it?
I think most people destroyed them or didn't turn them in. And the thing
Oh, yeah, a lot of them fell in the lake.
Yeah, the whole lake thing is kind of bogus anyway. But the thing is, too, with the bump stock, let's just be real. I mean, I don't want to die on that hill, but the bump stock is kind of stupid. And it was so cheap. The pain point for people to have a bump stock, having a bump stock wasn't like having Grandpa's MP40 machine gun. That's worth some money. It's like this thing's a piece of shit. Most serious gun people realize it's a piece of shit, and the only reason people want the bump stock now is because the government says you can't have it. There has been some movement on the bump stock issue. I'm not up to speed on it, but there's been some movement that says, the genesis of the bump stock and just deeming it to be on the NFA and turning it into a machine gun. They can't logically make that work as for how a machine gun is defined in the law, because how the machine gun is defined in the law is how a trigger and a mechanism and an action works. And a bump stock, I mean, my slang term is like a bump stock is trying to ban physics, and it doesn't do any of that. And there's been some movement in court somewhere where people are fighting the bump stock ban, and they're starting to get traction, basically saying, you can't ban this because this is not defined as a machine gun. It doesn't fall under the definition of any of the NFA stuff that this actually is a machine gun.
Well, that would be the same thing for the SBR and the brace, don't you think?
that's an entirely that's an entirely different conversation. There's been some rumor. I saw you and Freeze talking about it. Like I come into the company group chat a couple days ago, and you and Freeze are going back and forth about all the braces. And I guess in full disclosure, the John 1911 Armory has never owned a brace, a pistol brace. We've never owned I have to be certain. We've never owned a pistol AR, right? It'd be like a Bren or AK. We've never owned one of those pistol guns, and we've never owned a brace like the SB tactical brace and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, I don't have that much experience with it. The reason we never did it was because, when it was coming out, it wasn't, they're kind of short. They're not really as good as a real stock, and there's some limitations. But what's happened is these quote braces have gotten better and better and better, have turned more into stocks, and people are realistically using them as stocks, not as a supposed brace because you're a special needs person, who has physical disabilities, so you can shoot a rifle one-handed. And so many people have bought these braces. I'm not staking out a position on what I'm about to say, but the amount of braces that are being sold, that are being used as stocks, has effectively broken the NFA as far as short barrel rifles are concerned. And the thing is, the whole brace issue is not a redefinition of the SBR. Now, somebody may be like, "Well, yes, it is," and I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm saying is, in 1934, the National Firearms Act specifically listed parameters about the length of shotguns, the length of rifles, and destructive devices. Rifles 16, shotguns 18. And those figures still are in play today. It's not like someone's just magically come up with these new things that they've, that suddenly they're getting upset about the pistol braces. Everybody knows that the pistol brace thing is a huge fuck you to the NFA. And whether you do, the argument was supposedly going to be made before Joe Biden became president, or was about to become president, was that, well, you know what, the ATF has lost this. Let's just get short barrel rifles off the NFA, or let's just figure out some compromise in favor of gun owners. But apparently no. The ATF has decided they're going to go the other direction. And what they're going to do is they're sending out letters, determination letters from the technical branch to the makers of these braces, basically informing them that there's problems with this product. It's an SBR, and you better stop using it as a rifle. And also to help offset this, the ATF is now magically thinking about creating a new category of pistol, large frame pistols. And one of the things that really puts a crimp on the gun stuff in the U.S. is we have limitations on importation based on characteristics, and this goes back to '68. There's the Saturday Night Special. This idea like certain guns that are coming imported in the United States have to meet a sporting purpose. That was where a lot of this, deer hunter shit comes from, what the Democrats use. Well,
did you walk away or something? Your volume has become faint.
I think I'm just talking a little bit lower. So anyway, what they did is they wouldn't have let you import really small guns into the United States because they were, quote, Saturday Night Specials. And that was the bugaboo for the media in the 70s and the 80s, was these little pocket rocket guns. Now it looks like, because a lot of these pistol brace ARs and AKs and Bren pistols, CZ pistols, and AK-47 pistols are imported into the U.S. as pistols, the ATF is considering creating a new importation category called large-framed handgun. And basically, if a handgun is bigger than a certain size, you can't import it. And that's a double front attack on these pistol braces, because people buy pistol braces to put them on pistol rifles. They don't put them on regular rifles. They put them on these short rifles. And so the ATF has decided, instead of like, okay, you guys won the battle on the SBR, we're just going to let you win that. Well, I guess the ATF is really going to fight to go the other direction.
Well, it looks that way.
It does look that way, but it's interesting if you think about it. It's kind of I don't know. It's kind of like, okay, wait a minute. The government said small handguns are really bad, right? That's what they said. And like importing, there's a Glock handgun. It's a .380 caliber handgun that came out many years ago, and it's available in Europe. But that gun could not be imported into the U.S. because it didn't have enough sporting purposes points for importation. So the government had said small handguns bad, and that's always kind of been the thing. Well, now magically, through the open market and some ingenuity on the American gun owners' part, they're forcing the government to now create this new idea that maybe large handguns bad, which is kind of weird. It's like, okay, what are we trying to do here? Too cold, too hot, just right as far as handguns. And it's like, we're in for a fight on this stuff. I mean, with these SBR brace things. And I mean, Danny, have you ever even seen a SIG brace or one of these brace pistol things? Do you know how these came about?
I've only seen pictures. I've never held one or seen one up close.
Do you know how? Did you and Freeze discuss how they came into existence?
No.
So what happened was, and I'm going to give the short version. There was a company called SB Tactical, and in the U.S., and I guess they knew a guy who maybe the guy had cerebral palsy, or maybe he was an injured vet. He might have been a prior service, vet that was injured, and he had some physical disabilities. And this guy who created SB Tactical, what he did is he invented a product that this guy who wanted this vet, or this he was a disabled person. He couldn't hold a rifle. Like, he can't with two hands and pull back into his arm. But you know what? He is an American, and he should be able to shoot an AR. And so they invented this thing. And what it was is, instead of trying to hold a rifle with this guy's one good hand, which is kind of front heavy, what they did is they invented this little brace that goes on the back of a rifle. That's, they take the stock off, put this on the back of it. He can put his hand through a loop on the back, through the back of this brace, grab the pistol grip with his hand, and then they strap it to his arm. So he has his hand is holding the pistol grip, and then the back of it is strapped to his arm. So it's got 2 points of leverage and contact on his arm, so he can shoot a rifle like on a bench or from his wheelchair. That's where that came from, and they submitted it to the ATF, and they explained what it was for, and the ATF's like, okay, yeah, sure, it's a brace for disabled people, whatever.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
I mean, for the real intent.
For the real intent, that's what it was for. It was such a specialized item. But here's what happened. It is not a stock. It is a brace. And so what happened was, guys started to figure out, if I get a short, you have to be careful with my term, rifle. I don't mean legally it's a rifle. But if they get a short gun that normally would be too short to be considered a regular, Title III, a regular, 16-inch or longer rifle. If you put this thing on the back of it, you can, it's a pistol. It's still a pistol. And what they're doing is instead of running it like a brace, they're actually holding it with two hands, like the pistol grip in the forend, and they're pulling it back into their shoulder as a stock, the back of the brace, and they're using them as stocks. And this is one of those things where the ATF issued a letter because somebody said, "Is this legal?" And they were like, "Yeah, okay, Americans with Disabilities Act, that's fine, do it." But then, it opened the door through ingenuity to create this whole new category of short-barreled rifle. And here's the crazy thing. Think about this. I mean, Danny, you don't have a handgun. You don't have a concealed carry permit in Illinois, right? Or do you?
What was that, Marky? You were
Do you
really faint.
Do you have a concealed carry handgun permit in Do you have a concealed carry? Let me bump myself up a little bit. Do you have a concealed carry handgun permit in Illinois?
In Illinois?
Yeah.
Me personally?
Yes.
No.
Okay. Well, in some places,
because of background, before I retired.
Yeah. So a lot of places when if you have a CCW permit, like people will, like I have a concealed weapons permit, I can conceal an AR. Actually, in most cases, if you look at the law as it's written, it doesn't give people. And again, so there's exceptions. Some places do issue concealed weapons permits, and in the statute it just says weapon. But in a lot of places, it says concealed handgun permit or concealed pistol permit. Well, here's the deal: if you buy an AR pistol that the ATF says is a pistol, and then you put a brace on it that is for a pistol on your state gun license that's only legal for pistols, you can carry that pistol under your jacket. And that's legal. And there's a lot of people that travel and move with these AR pistols on their concealed pistol permit that if they get rid of this, it's going to really jam a lot of them up as far as how they operate and stuff.
Well, some states' reciprocities already jam people up.
Yeah, but this is just going to make it even worse, yeah.
Yeah.
So, because the thing is, one thing states generally can't do is if the ATF says this is a pistol, like if it's a pistol and you make it into a rifle, or if it's a machine gun, like the federal government determines once a machine gun, always a machine gun. You can't take a machine gun and convert it to semi-auto. You have to destroy it. Once it's a machine gun, it's always a machine gun. Well, the ATF, they also look at pistols. Once you take a pistol and turn it into a rifle, you can't turn it back into a pistol.
Yep. That would be like somebody buying a Bren parts kit. It'd be useless.
I have no response to that. So, and for the record, we have two of them, and
two.
one of them is on the wall in the conference room, and the other one is still at the 07 being manufactured into a legally functioning firearm 2 years later. So, as a matter of fact, it'll be 2 years in December. So that's a sore subject.
Freeze isn't with us, so I thought I'd drop the innuendo tonight.
Yeah. So,
speaking about innuendo, I know a guy that doesn't worry about anything anymore. General Flynn.
Congratulations to General Michael Flynn, Lieutenant General, 3-star General Michael Flynn, former director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, which is the Pentagon's version of the CIA, kinda. It's kind of their intelligence group. He was issued a full and complete pardon by Donald Trump today, which is not unexpected.
I actually, in part of my job description, I was watching the news channels after it. The liberal news stations, the MSM, were losing their minds over it, calling it Trump's abuse of power.
Well, of course, because they're shitheads. I mean, but here's the thing, and this is interesting because if you think about the time that we are in right now, okay, we're in transition period. It looks like, don't send me messages from one administration to another, and what happens is there's a process of nomination, and for cabinet level positions, there's an advise and consent process with the Senate, and there is some of the partisan fighting and attacking of new administrations and these nominees, whether it's Senate confirmed or not. And there's an unwritten rule. It's not set in stone, but it's kind of understood that, like, look, when an incoming president is nominating their people to flush out their administration, the opposing party gets to take out one of the guys, figuratively, right? And
Right.
some of the argument about Flynn early on, about how they, quote, took him out, that's kind of what it was almost built into. It's going to be really interesting to see, who's going to try to take out, incoming people for the Biden administration. Like, I've heard some grumblings about, was it Flournoy, Michelle Flournoy? She supposedly is Biden's pick for SecDef. And, no matter what you think of her personally, the reality is she's worked in the Pentagon. She's been Assistant Secretary of Defense for other issues. She knows where the bathrooms are. She's a professional. She's qualified. There's not a whole lot that you can do to whack her that you can really make realistically say she's not qualified to be Secretary of Defense. You just can't.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know.
Well, your buddy, the ex-governor of your state, he sure is almost a paid commentator all the time on CNN.
Well, he's looking for a job. Well, you're seeing. Oh, dude, you're seeing it everywhere. You're seeing like clockwork. Okay, whenever every 4 years, apparently Hillary Clinton, they're floating her name for SecDef. Have you heard that?
I really don't think that'll get through the Senate.
I don't. I mean, that would be. I think that would be a litmus test as to whether somebody has their hand up Biden's ass like a muppet. Because I mean, like, I just can't imagine what he possibly could even think that she has any business being Secretary of Defense, and like why he would even do that. So I think it's Flournoy is going to get it, but but like clockwork, Hillary's coming out. She wants to make money. She wants to have power. She'd love to travel around and have access and open up the Clinton Foundation because she's a giant grifter. She just is. I'm not attacking her. But, Admiral, every 4 years, Admiral McRaven comes out. He starts talking because he wants a job. McChrystal usually comes out and says something because he wants a job. K6 comes out because he wants a job. You see the usual suspects. As a matter of fact, because you and I, we talked about this. Remember, we talked about we had this. We think there's a secret catfight between Christine Noem, the attractive governor of South Dakota, the conservative woman, and Nikki Haley.
Right.
And because Nikki Haley, like, if you're in Republican politics, Nikki Haley's been on the train track going towards running for the White House. It was understood that Trump's going to win nomination, or he's going to win re-election until this night with coronavirus happened, and then she was going to run in 2024. That's why she never attacked Trump when there were some issues when she worked in his administration. Well, all of a sudden now, she started popping up in some of the media outlets talking like, you're going to start seeing Nikki Haley popping up everywhere too, because she's trying to get her name out there to get ready for 2024.
It's all about staying relevant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she doesn't want to get. She wasn't one to get the luster wiped off of her by Christine Noem.
Well, speaking about you and I talking, do you remember last pod when you totally disavowed my claim that Trump might still bomb Iran? Do you remember you arguing with me about that?
Well, that would be the reason why we're having an emergency podcast at 10:20 at night on November 25th. Today'd be Wednesday, right?
Thanksgiving Eve.
Thanksgiving Eve, largest bar night of the year, unless you live in Pennsylvania and you can't get alcohol. Um, as you
Oh,
explain.
oh! By the way, real quick, Pennsylvania legislature voted not to go forward with the ratification of the election.
The legislature, I thought it was a judge that did it.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. It was a judge. It was a
Yeah.
judge.
Or the certification of the,
Yeah.
I mean, well, that's going to play out the way it's going to play out. I
But
mean,
let's get back to the arguing over the Iran and Trump and the bombing and who was it? Maybe on this podcast was saying that it'll never happen.
Chief, let's go ahead and if you're going to dance around it, I'm going to go ahead and do it for you. Obviously, you want a compliment. Chief political correspondent for the John 1911 podcast, Danny, publicly and animately staked out a position a week or 10 days ago that Donald Trump was going to bomb Iran. And I was like, well, and that's why then we had talked about in this podcast how, Esper was frog marched out of the Pentagon. There's the new guy. And then I guess there was a meeting at the White House about, are they going to do this? And, we discussed because they leaked it and that's really the power politics of it. And you were like, I still think he could really do it. And there's we're seeing indications tonight. There's a possibility within the next 24 to 72 hours, you might see some strikes in Iran. And Danny might be proven right.
Well, of course I hope I'm not because it'll be an escalation. But what I can't figure out for the life of me is Trump pulled back all the troops from the area. They're back home now or in Germany or wherever. And now the leak of the bombing is coming out. Do you think those coincide with each other in any way?
Well, I don't know about pulling troops out of the area because that's not. I mean, we have so many troops. We have, we have troops in Bahrain. We have troops in Kuwait. We still have troops in Iraq. We have troops in Afghanistan. We have troops. At one point, we had troops at Mans in Uzbekistan. We literally surround Iran. Like, if I was Iran, I would just hate that. Like, if I was Iran and Americans have been in Iraq on my western border and have been in Afghanistan on my eastern border since 2001 and 2003, that would just suck rocks. I mean, that would really just burn my ass because they're so close. We still have tons of troops. If Iran wants to retaliate, there's plenty of targets for them to shoot at.
What I don't understand, though, is that, yes, I was adamant, 10 days ago on the other pod that I really think Trump's going to do it just being Trump. But phase two, where did it leak from? I would have been thinking that Iran would be breathing a sigh of relief after, the rumors that, they talked them out of it, this or that. Now it's resurfaced. Did it resurface on purpose? Is somebody leaking something? That's classified. I don't get it.
Well, the thing is, the two things can be true at the same time. Trump did move B-52 bombers into the region. I didn't look up to see what the Orbat was, to what that actually meant. I mean, that could be Diego Garcia in Guam. I don't think that's, I could be that's not B-52s in Iraq, or sitting in, or I don't know, maybe they are sitting in Saudi Arabia. There's been rumors there was a secret meeting between Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, and either the actual king of Saudi Arabia or the real leader, which is Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, or Mohammed bin Sal, what they call him, because that's what they did with the journalist. The theory is, Iran has been attacking Saudi Arabia nonstop for years. I mean, people forget it wasn't just, was it last year? The Iran launched a drone strike and attacked their largest oil refinery, and they came in from, from, I can't remember the direction they came in, but like they kind of, they came in from an area of the radars where the Saudis weren't really ready for it. And so we brought in more anti-aircraft radar systems. And, I mean, like Iran is, through proxy groups, has been firing missiles into Saudi Arabia from Yemen for years. Like, I mean, they fired. They're shooting. They were shooting missiles at the Riyadh airport, and they were shooting missiles at one of the palaces from Yemen. And the Yemenis can't. They're not. I mean, they're doing it, but they're getting those missiles from Iran, like big giant scuds, like Scud ERs. Basically, they're I can't remember what they're calling them. They're Scud extended range. It's a version made in Iran. Like it's not a frog. It's not a frog scud made in the Soviet Union.
Well, didn't Saudi Arabia grant the United States rights for an airbase?
There's King Khalid KKMC, King Khalid Military City, and there has been a relationship with the United States and Saudi Arabia really since going back to Teddy Roosevelt. But I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know what all the basing rights are in Saudi Arabia. But the thing is, with Saudi Arabia and basing rights, they keep a lot of it hidden. They keep a lot of it on the down low because politically, it's not the most politically acceptable thing. Because you got to realize, look, I'm a white dude that lives in Ohio, okay, and I'm a Christian. And to the Arab world, Saudi Arabia is like Italy, and Mecca and Medina is like the Vatican. And so the idea on the Arab street, that phrase, that there's these non-believers with bases in the cultural center of Islam, that's what pissed off. Supposedly, that's the reason that Osama bin Laden claimed to want to attack the royal family in Saudi Arabia because of all that, because they didn't like the basing of American troops in Saudi Arabia because it was offensive. So they keep a lot of that really on the down low. But there was a secret meeting supposedly between Israel and Saudi Arabia, and there's been an understanding, a change. A lot of stuff's been changing in the Middle East, and it's been really interesting. And history is going to judge Donald Trump very well for a lot of this. But Israel and Saudi Arabia have come to agree that Iran's the real threat, and they don't. The Palestinians don't want peace, and the path to peace in the Middle East is not through the Palestinians. They're just a proxy group for terrorism, and nobody's ever going to settle that. So let's just all move forward and deal with the real problem, which is Iran. And the theory is, it's like, well, obviously, if Israel is going to make a strike on Iranian nuclear facilities, it's going to be a hell of a lot easier to do it if they fly through Saudi Arabia and they get tankers in the air to get refueled and possibly even stage search and rescue aircraft and or possibly landing sites, use of some air bases to transit in or transit out. That's all theory right now.
Right, everything's theory, including my statement 10 days ago. It's a theory, but I still say Trump, especially if he loses, when it gets finalized or whatever, I still say Trump will be Trump just to have, here, Biden, here you go. Here's a world of shit. Handle it. I really think that.
So wait a minute. You think Donald Trump would make the world worse for the United States just to spite Biden?
Partially. because
I personally don't believe that. I think
okay,
Donald Trump is of the opinion. He's always been very clear about this, and like he'll say things. He never pussyfoot around. He even said it about North Korea. He's like, or he said it about Iran. He's like, well, no, we're not letting you do it. Like he said, we're not gonna let them make nuclear weapons. And the reality is, I mean, look,
oh,
politically, it's hard to bomb Iran and the political unknowns that could create. But if you're not worried about staying in office,
that's my point.
well, no.
That's
But
my
my
point.
my 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 point is the opposite. My point is Donald Trump is going to do what's best for America and do what's best for the world. And just go ahead and make the decision to do it.
I agree with that, but I guess I should phrase it differently. If he does do that, and let's just say everything goes to shit,
What
you
does that
know,
mean? Go to
be
shit?
okay. Let's say he bombs, and there are repercussions. That's what I mean. Going to shit. There's repercussions. There's this. There's that. Whatever.
Well, hold
Whatever
on.
you
Before you go
want
to
to.
the repercussions, you have to ask yourself this question: if there's a bomb, if we attack or Israel attacks, or we attack in conjunction with Israel, or we basically give Israel bunker busters, which are probably nuclear tipped at this point, and they go attack Israel for us, the first thing you have to get into is it successful? And how do you define success? Do they set back the Iranian nuclear program 18 months? Is that worth it? Do they set the Iranian nuclear program back 5 years? Is that, well, that's more worth it. Do they set the Iranian nuclear program back, say, 12 years? That could really be worth it. 12 years is a long time. 5 years is a long time, considering the breakout period that we're looking at right now. I mean, I don't know. Like, if someone's brave enough to make that decision and it works, and like they actually can stop them for at least a while.
I I understand that. But what I'm saying, and like I said in my original post 10 days ago, yes, it'll be for the good of America. But you don't think inside Trump would be thinking, now it's Biden's mess?
No,
Here it
I
is
don't
on a
think.
silver platter?
No, I don't. I don't think. I don't think that's Trump's mo. Trump doesn't do that. I think Trump is one of these guys. He looks at Biden and he goes, "I'll be honest. I think Donald Trump looks at Joe Biden and thinks that he's a pussy. He thinks he's a weak ass pussy. And what he says is he's like, a year from now or 18 months from now, when this issue comes to a head, Joe Biden will blink and let him get away with it. And he's like, fuck it. I'm going to do it. I'm the big boy. I'm man enough. There's some macho there. And he's like, you want something done right? I'm going to do it myself. And that's something that, you know, that's not an unknown concept in American politics, especially when you have a second term president who, quote, never has to face reelection anymore, which is going to be an interesting thing when it comes to Donald Trump, his political future in this country. Also, it's a known thing, for presidents or people that have lost. They don't have to. They're like, well, okay, I'm out. I mean, I can make the hard decision.
That's true too.
I mean, I don't know.
Speaking of a hard decision, does Manafort get a pardon?
Well, I'll tell you what, I called this one right. I called Flynn gets a pardon, and I said, I don't know if you heard this, what's his name? Roger Stone got his sentence commuted.
Commuted, right?
And I called that. I was like, you were like, somebody said Roger Stone's going to get a pardon. I was like, yeah, I don't think Roger Stone's getting a pardon. I think
I
Roger
said that.
Stone,
It was
yeah,
me.
yeah. And it's like, yeah, no, no. I mean, Roger Stone's a weird dude. And Roger Stone is, look, Mike Flynn has never done anything bad in his life. Roger Stone, eh, come on. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know,
Well, well, come on. When you have the complete tack team break his stone down or break his front door down just to hand him the warrant, it makes you wonder.
Well, you know what? Look, I have no problem with. Like we have people that train in our facility that do those warrants. They're high risk warrants. It's like, hey, you know what? We're going to have the. They are going to have. They've determined that they're going to have a tactical team because they have a warrant. They're not just going to have the regular police show up. They're going to go ahead and hit them with the TAC team because of an elevated threat analysis of the target. And you know what? That's on them. That's fine. But what burns your ass? Because obviously it wasn't that much of a hard ass target, or they're worried about it because the CNN news truck was sitting out front of the house waiting for the team, and that's some bullshit right there. So
Again, back to the leak.
there's always leaks, but I can't remember what we were talking about. So Flynn got a pardon. Roger Stone gets commuted. Manafort. I think no. I think
I say yes. I say yes because he's been a good little soldier.
well, look, I hate to break it to the listener at home. Mike Flynn is a buddy of Donald Trump's. Mike Flynn was one of the first people very early on when Donald Trump was like running for president. Like he approached Trump and they talked, and he became the campaign's national security foreign policy advisor. Like they're friends. They talked. Like they worked through the thing. You know, Roger Stone has known Donald Trump. God, I bet you 30. I mean, maybe, I bet you Roger Stone may have known Donald Trump for 40 years. Like at least 30. Like I swear. Like Roger Stone, that dude gets around. People listen to this podcast. If you don't know them, you should really do a deep dive on Roger Stone. It's amazing, and it's shocking when you find out the stuff he's involved in. You're like, this guy's a Republican because it's pretty crazy. But Manafort, the thing is, we have to go back in time to the summer of 2016. Okay, and the Trump campaign was in turmoil because they had some people that were running. I think Lewandowski had just gotten fired, but there was a problem with Lewandowski because of supposedly the girl, like he put his hands on the girl, the reporter who was trying to get close to Trump, and it was like, no. And there was somebody else, I can't remember who it was. And what happened was the convention was coming up, and the argument was going to be the assholes like John Kasich and Jeb Bush, and let's be fair here, Ted Cruz at the time, these guys were going to basically keep the convention, keep Donald Trump from closing the deal convention. They were going to use turmoil and inside baseball, and they were going to stop Donald Trump at the convention. That was the plan. Literally, that's like John Kasich's entire plan for 2016 was, I don't care how many votes he gets, they're going to pick me because I'm in the club and I'm great and they owe me. It's my turn. Well, here's what happened. The Republican Party, Donald Trump was getting this, and they basically were like, the Republican Party foisted Manafort on Trump. Donald Trump didn't know Paul Manafort. Paul Manafort was a Republican Party insider. Paul Manafort was, when he was brought on, Paul Manafort was like, the Republican Party, this guy knows how to run a convention. This guy knows the levers of power and how to do this. And this was literally, when Manafort was brought on, the media, everybody, Fox News, Paul Manafort is adult supervision. Paul Manafort is finally going to bring some discipline to the Trump campaign. And Donald Trump feels that was a setup. Donald Trump feels that they put this guy in his camp, and he's just like, you cocksuckers. Fuck you and fuck Paul Manafort. I bet you he doesn't do shit for Paul Manafort.
Oh, that's a good point. Actually, you could allude that to Jeff Sessions.
Nothing happened to Jeff Sessions.
No, nothing's going to happen to him, but I mean, he approached Trump early, did that, was the first senator to endorse some all the other stuff, and he sure fizzled out.
Well, okay, that's a good point. You know what? Chief political correspondent Danny's really earned his money today because you're correct. Early on, if Mike Flynn was Donald Trump's candidate, Donald Trump, and there were still 16 people in the field or 17 people. Mike Flynn was a very early supporter. And then it was not too much farther along. Jeff Sessions kind of came into the Trump orbit and became this advisor. And here's the thing. Jeff Sessions came in. When Jeff Sessions started to campaign for Donald Trump and support Donald Trump, it was considered a very big get for the Trump campaign. It did a lot for the Trump campaign because Jeff Sessions was a major guy. He was a senator in great standing. He was a political insider. He was a power player inside the Beltway. And this guy's paying attention to Donald Trump, and it made a lot of people. When Jeff Sessions came out, jumped onto the Trump train, a lot of people were like, this guy might be for real. Jeff Sessions?
Well,
and that's the big downfall, because Trump thought Sessions was going to be, was going to be this rabid defender of him. But you know what? We got to be honest here. They set up Mike Flynn. They set up Jeff Sessions too. No one ever talks about that.
Yes,
remember?
they did.
He appeared.
Yeah.
So, because Kislyak showed up at the Capitol building, and he met with Jeff Sessions in the Senate, like in his chambers. But it's like, dude, you running around Washington D.C., you could be in line at Starbucks, and there is a ambassador in front of you. Like, this ain't no big deal. And it was such a small meeting that Sessions didn't even remember it. It was like, yeah, the guy stopped by, because it's the Russian ambassador. His job is to go around and glad hand with all these people and build relationships, and there's business deals and all kinds of things. And Jeff Sessions showed up at Congress for some kind of oversight or something, and they were like, well, did you have any contact with the Russians, during the campaign? And Sessions was like, no, I haven't. And they're like, what about Ambassador Kislyak from Russia? And we're showing you had a visit. And what it was, it made Sessions look like a liar. It made him look like an asshole. And it was like, oh, fuck, that was about nothing.
Yeah.
But, and they set him up. And so, and that meeting took place, I think, when Sessions was still in the Senate. And so Sessions now, and this is what pissed Trump off, Sessions is the Attorney General, and suddenly Sessions is like, I have to recuse myself from all of this because the appearance of impropriety. And Trump never forgave him for that, because that set the stage for the Mueller and all this drama.
Sure it did.
And
basically,
Trump
by him recusing himself, the special prosecutor, through the other nefarious players, was able to come to fruition.
Wasn't Sessions running for the Senate again? What happened to him? Did he lose?
I think he's actually stepped down or didn't run. Or was it in the middle of his term? I'd have to look that up.
No, because he stepped down because he became Attorney General. But like, he was running again. Maybe he lost to like the football coach or something. I don't know.
No. You're right. Sessions stepped down when he took the Attorney General's spot, and then they had the special election where the Democrat actually won. Again, he was running against a Republican judge that rode the horse. Okay. You remember?
Yeah. Yeah. The
I'm like you said, when you get on pod, you get tongue tied, and the Democrat won, but now Tuberville just beat the Democrat in the general election.
Yeah, that candidate, the guy who the riding the horse guy, man, that guy was a weirdo too. Like, that guy was kind of a weirdo.
Oh, I liked him.
Well, he kept like having these problems with these young girls, and just this kind of,
he did.
There was issues there, and like I don't know, like I think he was a guy that probably was maybe
Doug Jones. Doug Jones is the senator that with the Democrat that won the special election.
Yeah,
and then Tuberville just beat him last month.
What's the name of the guy on the horse? The Republican judge.
That's. I hate you for asking. I can't think.
tattoo it to your forehead. So
I can't. Yeah, I don't know. You got the computer on.
I'm not. You know what? I'm not. Nobody cares. You know what?
No.
I want to circle back to this real quick because I just want to go ahead and make a point about the bombing of Iran. If somebody decides to go and do it, I mean, it's not as easy as you think. It's going to be a hell of a shooting thing to get in there. Um,
Oh, oh, no
and
logistics. Oh,
yeah,
Christ.
but here's the thing: everybody talks about it. See, and this is one of those things, and we're going to just talk about it here. People people in the media in the public, they use euphemisms and names that really cover up the real things of what could be involved here. You know, North Korea and Iran have been digging their bunkers and command structures and their research facilities deeper and deeper and deeper into the ground, into these mountains or underground, right? And so there's like the Mo. If you had asked me about the Moab, right, the mother of all bombs, right,
Right.
and before that was the Daisy Cutter. And those bombs traditionally were dropped out of the back of a C-130. The B-2 can carry them now, but now the bunker buster was like the MOP, the massive ordnance penetrator, which became the bunker buster. Nobody really talks about it because not that I know that much about it, but we have a dial-a-yield gravity bomb, the B-61. I think it's the Mark 12 or Dash 12, and you can adjust the yield. Like it's not like, oh, this is a 10 kiloton bomb. We only want to do a 2 kilotons, so you got to take a different core out of it. You can adjust it for how much it's dialing yield. Literally, it's what it is. Well, the theory is that some of these bunker buster bombs and this dial yield technology is probably related, and some of these bunker busters are technically nuclear weapons. Um, you
At
know,
least the head.
well, but it's going to be like It's going to be like an underground nuclear explosion. But politically, you have to realize, the United States is the only country to ever use nuclear weapons in combat or on the field. And in 2020, we may be doing it again. Dropping bomb, going after the Iranian nuclear facilities might entail technically not what people would think, like a mushroom cloud, but there will be, I guarantee you, if they drop some kind of bunker buster and it's got some micro nukes in it to get down into some bunker or whatever facility to get to the centrifuges or whatever they're trying to do, CNN and the mainstream media, they're going to be howling about nuclear weapons. And if there's a little puff of radiation popping out somewhere, there's going to be, they'll get out, Wolf Blitzer will be tracking the radiation cloud as it moves
Oh, yeah.
across the world. No, seriously, but these are the things that presidents have to worry about when bombing Iran, because I'm convinced that to be able to hit these underground facilities, it's going to take dial-a-yield nuclear weapons. I think the bunker buster is a nuclear weapon.
I could just see the pilot that drops it. Here, you wanted some uranium? Here it comes.
Here it comes. Well, you know what? I'm going to, I hope, look, I always pray for peace and I hope whatever, because look, man, I hope if it does come to it, I hope nobody, none of the good guys get hurt, because
Well, somebody's going to get hurt in a bunker.
it's
Somebody's in those bunkers.
well, I can't, I can't. I'm sorry if you're. I can't. I'm an American, and I'm more worried about the pilots and the tanker crews and the fighter coverage of American forces and retaliation of American ground troops than I am about some dude making nuclear weapons underground in Iran. I'm sorry, I choose sides. Fuck you. I just don't care about you.
I actually care about both, because if you didn't try to stop and halt their progress, they could do more damage against us. So where do you draw the line?
Yeah, the thing is, it's like, okay, well, we're getting very philosophical here, but we're into the rational theory of governance here. If you're a liberal in the United States, if you're a Democrat, Republicans tend to believe that less government is more freedom, right? Because the bigger government is, the more it encroaches on your freedom. So more government bad, less government good. Liberals tend to think, just on principle, that government is the mechanism, like Barack Obama said. Government is the mechanism in which we do things together, or something like that. And the thing is, when you look at government like that, you look at government in an altruistic way and in a rational way. And so what you start to say to yourself is, well, you know, Iran doesn't want to die. Like the mullahs in Iran, or the ayatollahs. I'm sorry, the ayatollahs in Iran. I think maybe it's mullahs. They don't want to die. So like they're not going to do crazy stuff like launch a nuclear missile at Vienna. But then it's like, well, the Iranians are pretty crazy.
Well,
I mean,
supposedly Iran has 12 times the uranium stockpile of what they're supposed to have under that Obama deal that they cut.
the JCPOA, yeah, which was a nightmare. But you know what? But hold on. But there's two sides to this coin. Okay, like look at that's the difference between North Korea and Iran. Look, the North Koreans. Look, I am fully aware of the history of North Korea since the end of the Korean War. Like the shootings and the attacks and the gliders and like the commandos in the submarine and like all the the crazy shit that they do. Like they sunk the frigate. That was just in the early 2000s. The Chunan or whatever. Like North Koreans, they do some crazy shit. But the North Koreans have nuclear weapons. I mean, they do. They have them. It's not even disputable, and they have the ability to launch them. As a matter of fact, the North Koreans are developing a sea launched. They have a sea launched missile they've designed. They're just building a boat around it, so they, in theory, could have a quote second strike. But
Yeah,
no one.
they have a diesel submarine fleet.
Yeah, but nobody's really sitting around here worried right now that due to North Korea could just launch a missile at Tokyo. I guess if I lived in Tokyo, I might be more concerned about it, which is a fair criticism. But I don't think North Korea right now is really. I think the glide path of North Korea is pretty stable. Like they want nuclear weapons so they can survive as a regime. They do this weird Juche thing, and they believe that they're the center of the world and all that. But that's what they tell themselves. But they don't behave that way. Like they're not. It doesn't look like that they're suddenly going to start a nuclear war. The problem with the Iranians is they're crazy. They would give. They could literally. They could set off a nuclear weapon in some city. They would literally do that shit. And that's the fear. And once you're in a situation with Iran that they have deliverable nuclear weapons or nuclear technology that can be moved around, you're dealing with them on a whole different level. The reality is right now we deal with Iran kind of with one arm tied behind our back because we're like, hey, look, we want to be cool. We don't need to do all this bullshit. It's not like it's going to be an easy fight, but we don't have to do this. But if Iran gets nuclear weapons and they feel like they can stand up to the world and some of their crazy behavior, it could be a whole game changer for how. The truth is, I do not think Iran is going to launch a nuclear weapon at the United States. And if they do, they're not going to successfully hit us. Do I think Iran could launch a nuclear weapon at Eastern Europe?
Israel.
Oh, hell the fuck yeah. Hell yeah. Or Israel? Yeah. They really could.
Well, speaking about launching a nuclear weapon, the liberals sure are launching, let's say, nuclear diatribes towards Ricky Schroeder. Did you see that?
I guess we'll end on Ricky Schroeder. you know, I saw a little bit about it. I don't claim to know that much. I mean, I don't look. These people, look. It's this is bullshit. Like they have no problem bailing out people that firebomb businesses during riots, but Ricky Schroeder wants to pay this kid. This
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Rittenhouse was attacked. And did you hear the story that supposedly he bought his AR-15 with his COVID money?
Yeah. Yes, remember, I'm not too far removed from where he lives in Illinois.
Yeah. So, I guess that puts lie to the story because initially the story was that that maybe he got the gun in Wisconsin, like he didn't bring a gun across state lines, or maybe it's like I don't. Some of the stuff, like the way that's reported, it's like you just don't even know what's true and what's not true anymore. So I mean, look, I don't care. I mean, like, I'm glad they bailed him out because the kid, I think, is innocent. But you know what? If you're going to be on the internet, you're going to bail out. You're going to bail out Kyle Rittenhouse. Yeah, you're not going to be getting a Christmas card from the girl from Bewitched. You're going to get a Christmas bomb. Whatever the girl's, the actress, the Alyssa Milano. Yeah, you know what I mean. If you
Right.
help to give money to bail out Kyle Rittenhouse, I guess Ricky Schroeder can expect a Christmas bomb from the Christmas bomb of peace from Alyssa Milano because she's so magnanimous.
Yeah, well, I love how the liberals believe, innocent until proven guilty. With them, it's the other way around.
Yeah, well, I love this one. I saw it was a meme. Somebody, was talking about all this. There are all these crazy stories about all this crazy stuff that happened on election night and the next day, right? And some of it's true, maybe some of it's not true. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But it was interesting. Like all of a sudden, it was bam. Democrats are not interested in investigations anymore. It's been investigation.
I sent you that.
Yeah, it's from you. I was like, that's true because and I guess
I actually thought you liked the one with the turkey and Lieutenant Dan.
Oh, go ahead. We're gonna end on the turkey Lieutenant Dan meme. Please describe to the listener the meme of Lieutenant Dan and the turkey.
You want me to describe it?
Are you?
Yeah, I can if you want.
Please do.
Okay. Forrest Gump is carving the Thanksgiving turkey. And he looks over, Lieutenant Dan is sitting there in the wheelchair. And the caption is, Lieutenant Dan, would you like a leg?
Thought I'd try out my sea legs.
But you ain't got no legs, Lieutenant Dan.
Yes, I know that.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, wraps up episode 194 of the John 1911 Podcast. If you want to see stories or pictures or links of the last podcast before we burn in hell, please go to our website, John1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun. Everybody, have a good day.
Bye-bye. Everyone have a nice holiday.
I ain't got no legs. See ya.
Bye.